Hello and welcome again to the Lamphere High School Sports Show, Shot Clock. The show in which various topics from the world of sports are discussed and the panelists are given 24 seconds to make their point. I'm your host, Dusean Benjamin. On our show tonight, we'll decide if college athletes should be paid, talk about the hype machine that is known as Oregon football, and wrap it up with the NFL's overprotective policies. Our panelists for this episode is the electrifying Dwayne Hogan, the provocative Denny, and the always appealing Kristian Fredlund. Before we begin, let's take a second to acknowledge our timekeeper, Mike Kapala. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Gentlemen, our first topic tonight has proven to be quite controversial. Sports Illustrated wrote a searing 5-part piece alleging corruption in the Oklahoma State football program. Part of the piece centered around pay for play, with universities and coaches bringing in millions of dollars each week, oftentimes at the expense of student athletes. The question becomes, have we reached a point where college athletes should be paid? Chris, you're on the clock now.
Absolutely. College athletes should start making money. First off, they're starting to put out their jerseys with their name on them. First off, their name is part of their private property, and they're selling it, and the university is making money off of their name. So absolutely, college athletes should be paid. Second off, the athletes there are putting out reputations for the school, so they're selling more hats and all that.
Okay, Dwayne, your chance starts now.
Of course. People prefer, in my opinion, college sports over the big major sports. The NFL can't compare to the NCAA. They're entertainers. All they do, they go out there, boom, big play, boom. But in saying that, I feel that they should consider taking away the scholarships if they're going to be paid.
Kristian, should college athletes be paid?
Absolutely, college athletes should be paid. The amount of money that college athletes bring in for their university is unfathomable. I understand that they get an education for free, but you can't compare a free education and what they bring in for the university because there is no comparison there. The amount of revenue that they bring in for their universities, it's not the same as a free education.
There is no doubt that Oregon's proximity to the Nike headquarters has had a direct effect on the football program as a whole. However, the results on the field have been decidedly overwhelming. Oregon's offense is yet prolific, yet with all the offensive output, the results haven't been there when it counts at national championship time. So my question to the panel, Oregon football a legit powerhouse or overhyped Nike-infused college football monster? Dwayne, you're on the clock.
No way. That offense is high-powered. They average 59.2 points per game. They average 335.8 rushing yards a game, and they average a total yards of 630.4 per game. The defense is no scrub. They have a total of 6 interceptions through 5 games. Marcus Mariota and DeAnthony Thomas is the best 1-2 punch in college football. Mariota has a total.
Kristian, are you a Ducks fan?
Oregon football, Dwayne, is extremely overhyped. Year in and year out, they play the weakest schedule in the FBS. And they always have a chance to go to the BCS National Championship, but they blow it year in and year out. Oregon football and Tony Romo must be drinking out of the same fountain because they both find a way to choke in the big game.
Chris, Oregon, Duck Dynasty or duck out of the way?
Definitely duck out of the way. Look, Oregon football does not need a new jersey every single week. They get a new uniform every week from the NFL, not the NFL, the Nike headquarters. And in the hallways of Lamphere, I asked 10 students, 8 out of 10 said they were overhyped. And just because they get new uniforms every week, people look at them as this unbeatable machine.
Now, last week, PBS aired a special on the ever-growing number of former and current NFL players who are suffering as a result of concussions sustained in games. Guys, new rules have been put into place to attempt to curb these injuries. but the game itself seems to be softening a bit. The question is, has the NFL taken a step closer to flag football? Kristian, your thoughts on the new NFL rules starts now.
No, the NFL is not getting overprotective. Concussions numbers have spiked by 68% since 2009, Dwayne. Chris, just take that into consideration. The NFL needs to get more protective with the players, or pretty soon everyone's going to be a vegetable after their career, because there is life after football. Dwayne, Chris, just take that into consideration.
A vegetable, I like that. Chris, what do you think?
Take this into consideration. There was a quarterback who played for 21 seasons from 1986 to 2007. His name is Vinny Testaverde. And I quote, "When I was in the league, you could hit a quarterback high, low, and you could hit them late. You do not see that today. They are getting a little bit overprotective of their receivers and their quarterbacks." End quote. The NFL is becoming...
Dwayne, where do you see the NFL in the future?
I see it down in the drain. They ain't playing Barbies. Put me out there. I'd love to get hit for millions of dollars. It's taken a lot away from the game. Treat them like men. The NFL is a contact sport. They should be cheerleaders. If they're going to do that, they should be cheerleaders. I don't like it. Take it out of the game. Let them get hit. Done.
Now that wraps up our panel discussion for this week. Great stuff. Usually this is the time in the show where I give my commentary about parts of sports and add my 2 cents. However, this week, I'm calling a special guest to fill my shoes. Remi Monaghan is a member of the Lamphere cheerleading team, and she is here to talk about a topic that is brought up in the halls of high schools throughout our country. Should cheerleading be considered a sport in the traditional sense? Here's Remi to shed the light on this topic and add her perspective.
Sorry to rain on your parade, boys, but this topic isn't even up for debate. Competitive cheerleading is a sport. Y'all like to say it isn't a contact sport, but I have multiple bruises on my body right now from catching a falling girl rather than having her hit the floor. Also, yes, we get judged by a group of people, but so does every other sport. Cheer judges, refs, officials, and umps all have sets of rules that they have to abide by. At Lamphere, if you look in the gym, we have the only 2 state champion banners in this school's history. In 2012 alone, there were over 16,000 athletes treated in hospitals for catastrophic injuries, ranging from broken bones and fractured growth plates to tendons that were torn in half. That number doesn't even include the many of us who tough out our injuries because we can't afford to lose our spots on our team. Finally, in February 2013, the United States Supreme Court ruled that cheerleading was a sport. The United States government ruled that cheerleading was a sport. I cannot stare a pitcher in the eye and hit a curveball, catch a 40-yard pass for a touchdown, or shoot a three-pointer, but I can throw a round-up back handspring back tuck, and I can hold a 100-plus girl over my head with perfect technique. I've worked my whole life to do the things that I love. Respect my sport, and I'll respect yours.
That's all we have for this episode. Join us next week for more intense and controversial sports talk on Lamphere Shot Clock.